And welcome back to the channel. Today we have got our PFL Europe 2024 Championship predictions. Here it is the final MMA event here of 2024 that we're going to be doing on the channel, except if maybe Bellator does that co-promoted card with Ryzen in Japan on New Year's Eve. I don't know if they are doing that, then we will do that Bellator/Ryzen card. But for the PFL and the UFC, again, we are done after today. We've got PFL Europe, obviously, from Decines-Cherbourg, France. I took French 2 years in high school, and I don't remember a damn thing, so I tried my French there. But 13 fights on this PFL Europe card. In the main event, the Lazy King returns to take on Laureano Staropoli. You've got 4 PFL Europe championship fights on this card as well, and we're going to be predicting every single one here in today's video. And folks, before we get into the predictions, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more MMA predictions here on the channel. Again, we've predicted every single UFC, Bellator, and PFL card here in 2024, and we'll do the same for 2025. Make sure to go check out our daily college basketball best bets that are on the channel, as well as our daily NBA predictions on the channel as well. And yesterday we posted our UFC Fight Night Tampa, Covington versus Buckley full card predictions. That is linked in the description down below if you want to check that out. And also make sure to go check out our 20,000 subscriber special video where we announced a 20,000 subscriber giveaway, $100 that we are going to be giving away. How to enter: all you gotta do is subscribe to the channel and then follow on Instagram as well. That is the first link in the description down below. We will be drawing a winner on Saturday, so you just gotta do both those things and you are automatically entered into the 20,000 subscriber giveaway. So go do that. It's completely free. All right, on to our first fight of the night. We start things off in the lightweight division. We have got Claudio Pacella taking on Oscar Ownsworth. We are going with Ownsworth to win this fight by decision. Pacella's a guy who's fought twice so far here in PFL. He lost to Patrick Harboa in his first fight, then beat Mark Ewan in his second fight by unanimous decision. For Oscar Ownsworth, this is a guy who 0-1 in Bellator, but has fought in PFL Europe before, beat Lewis Monarch by split decision in his first fight in PFL Europe, and then went on to fight in Bellator, lost to Alfie Davis by unanimous decision. And I get it, again, Alfie Davis has just been a guy that's been around the Bellator lightweight division for a very long time, but Davis was expected to go out there and beat Owensworth in that one. That's exactly what happened. I think Owensworth is at a higher level, though, than Claudio Pacella. Pacella is still very new to mixed martial arts. I mean, this is, what, his 5th MMA fight? 7th? Okay, that doesn't really help my case too much here because Owensworth has only fought like 12 times, but still, Pacella has fought lesser competition. Obviously, Harboa is good. Obviously, we're going to see him in the co-main event. They lost to him by decision. He also lost to a 2-0 Guido Pozzente in 2022. It's just, again, he doesn't fight all that often. Fought once in 2022, fought once in 2023. He's already fought twice in 2024, but I do think Oscar Owensworth is the better guy. We like him to win the fight on the ground and on the feet as well. Actually, I wouldn't say on the ground because his ground game is not great, but I think on the feet, Oscar Owensworth does pick up the victory. We're going to take him to beat Claudio Pacella. We're going to take him by unanimous decision. Next up, we go on to the 170-pound division. Obviously, the welterweight division, we have got the 1-0 Bryce Belghazi taking on the 1-0 Yoan Sheridan. Yeah, we're going to be going with the French-born fighter in this fight, in Bryce Belghazi, to win this fight. 1-0 as a pro. He fought in February of this year on La Nuit des Combates. I think that's got to be French, right? Yeah, it has to be. He won the fight by triangle choke in the first round in 30 seconds, then proceeded to proceeded to have 4 fights canceled since then. He was booked to fight at VMT3 in May, fight got canceled. Kingdom Fighting 2 in June, fight got canceled. HFC 48 in June of 2024, got canceled. October of this year in Coliseum 1, fight got canceled. And here he is against Yoan Sheridan. For Sheridan, this is a guy who's 1-0 professionally from Ireland, 3-3 as an amateur, fought once in 2023 against Joey Dakin, won the fight by second round TKO, and Golden Ticket Fight Promotions was booked in 2023 against Jonathan Mills later that year. Fight didn't happen in Anthony Pettis FC, and now here he is against Bryce Belghazi. I don't know, guys. I mean, take your pick. 1-0 versus 1-0. I'm going to take the guy who hasn't lost 3 amateur fights, but we don't know anything about Bryce Belghazi's amateur ranks. So, legitimately, I don't know what to do here. Bryce Belghazi, he's fought 30 seconds of professional MMA. We have nothing to base this pick off of. I'll take him to win by decision, but this is one of the fights where you just hope and pray. Don't bet on it if you can find a line for this fight. Don't do it. Give me Belghazi. And now, I'll bring up an example of random PFL Europe fights later on in the video when we have a guy who's fighting in the feature bout, and boy do I have a story to tell about him. Next up, Wisniewska, I always butcher her name, taking on Valentina Scatizzi. Poliana is winning this fight. Polina is winning this fight because Valentina Scatizzi isn't very good. She's 3-3 fighting in a championship fight for the second straight year. You might be wondering, how did she get back in the championship fight? Well, in 2023, she won one fight. She beat Lizzie Gevers by split decision. Don't even know if she won that fight. And then had her second fight canceled against Gret Acute. That fight got canceled. And then her Manuela Marcinetto fight got canceled as well. So she was the one who was still trying to fight. Obviously, her opponents pulled out, so they said, you know what? Just go to the finals. Just go fight Dakota Ditcheva. Dakota Ditcheva finished her in the first round. Guys, Dakota Ditcheva might be able to go to the UFC and become the world champion right now. I'm not joking. I think the Manon Fiora fight might be a little bit difficult for her. I think she'd beat Shevchenko. Oh, she beat Shevchenko. I don't know if her ground game's good enough to beat Shevchenko. But Ditcheva could go to the UFC right now, and at worst, I think be ranked number 3. Because who else beats her? She'd beat Erin Blanchfield. I think she'd beat Rose at this point in Rose's career. She'd probably beat Macy Barber. Who else? Other than Fior and Shevchenko, oh, Grasso. Okay, yeah, she'd be 3. She'd be 3 in the rankings. At the very worst, I don't know how she'd fare against Grasso and Shevchenko and Fior, but that's how good Dakota Ditcheva is. She finished Tyler Santos, and Erin Blanchfield and Valentina Shevchenko took her to decision. Just saying. So Scatizzi loses to Ditcheva, obviously. 2024, she comes back. Beats Marie Lesau by unanimous decision, a fighter who's 6-4. Then loses to Chanel Dyer. Chanel Dyer should have beat the crap out of her. But Chanel Dyer barely wins the fight by split decision. Chanel Dyer has to pull out of the championship fight against Paulina. So, Valentina Scatizzi, with a 3-3 professional record, is fighting in a PFL Europe championship fight for the second straight year in a row. It's just that this is sad. Paulina's winning the fight by any way she wants it. She'll win the fight by decision. It'll be 50-45. Paulina's got a good striking game. She should just be able to keep her distance and box Scatizzi's head off for the entire fight. Paulina Wisniewska to become the PFL Europe 125-pound champion with a unanimous decision victory. She'll win every single round against Valentina Scatizzi. It's a pretty easy pick to make. Next up, we move on to the 170-pound championship, and then we have like 5 fights in between. It's weird. Here comes Florim Zendeli taking on Danielle Miceli. We are going with Zendeli to win the fight by second round TKO. This is a Macedonian fighter who is 9-1-1. He's coming off a big victory in his last fight over Jack Grant, winning that fight by split decision. Won his first fight this year in PFL Europe over Tomasz Langowski by rear naked choke in the first round. This is a guy who's only lost once in his entire professional MMA career. That's back in October of 2021 against Maurice Abive, a fighter who's now in one championship, who is 8-1 professionally. That is Zendeli's only loss. Other than that, again, he's racked up 5 TKO victories in the past, and he's taking on the 37-year-old cyborg Danielle Miceli. Again, I'm not picking Miceli just because, again, he's 37 years old. Sure, he's put together some victories. He beat Ibrahim Mane in his last fight by first-round TKO. Before that, beat Yassin Najid by submission with a Von Flue in under 30 seconds in his first fight. He had the no contest against Peter Queally back in Bellator in 2023. But again, Miceli's not a bad fighter. I just think once you get him in a 5-round environment with the guy in Zendeli who's not going to make a mistake early, who's not going to fall into a trap, I think Zendeli will eventually break him. Again, Miceli has lost 5 times in his career. Went on a 2-fight losing streak back in 2021. Got a loss to Danielle Scatizzi all the way back in 2016 in Bellator. Again, Miceli's very beatable. He just is. I think Zendeli's got the better hands. I think he's got the quicker hands. And I think he should be able to finish Miceli in the second round. Something to note again for Danielle Miceli. Again, a guy is 37 years old. He is 13-5 as a pro, which is okay, but what are his 5 losses? All by TKO. 2021, ground and pound finish in the first round. 2021, referee stoppage in the third round. Scatizzi finished him in the first round. After that, he went to Venator, lost in 25 seconds. Got knocked out by Maxime Redoux in 1 minute and 17 seconds back in 2017. His chin's horrible. If you get a guy who's going to swing hard and swing big, he's probably going to get knocked out. So I'm going to take Florim Zendeli. I think he lands that first big shot ahead of when Miceli lands it. And I'm taking Florim Zendeli to become the PFL Europe 170-pound champion with a second-round TKO win over the cyborg Danielle Miceli. Let's move on now to A catchweight fight. This one says, it says middleweight on Tapology, but I assume it's just a catchweight of 177 pounds. I don't know why this is on the card, and guys, I'm not that big into French regional MMA, so I don't entirely know the backstories between these guys. But here we are in the 177-pound catchweight fight between Salvo Giudice and Attila Kobas. I'm taking the guy who's actually fought in professional MMA before. Give me Attila Kobas to win the fight by first round knockout. His only loss is to Baki Chamsudanov, the guy obviously who beat Cedric Doumbé earlier this year in PFL Europe. I don't know where Baki Chamsudanov is because he's supposed to fight Oliver Enkamp in Bellator in November, but Bellator canceled their card, and I don't know what the hell's going on at Bellator. I mean, they've got the Usman Nurmagomedov Paul Hughes fight scheduled for, I think, January or February. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I don't think that fight's that close, I'll be honest. I think Usman kind of just runs right through him. Dagestan versus Ireland, too. Well, I think Dagestan's going to win again, being honest. But yeah, Baki Chamsudanov beat Cedric Doumbé, and that is Salvo, sorry, not the Salvos. That is Attila Kobas' only loss, is to Baki Chamsudanov. That was back in 2021. He got TKO'd in the third round. Other than that, though, he's won 2 fights, but the guys he's beat 0-0 Stefan Boev and 2-11 Assis Silva. I don't know, but he's taking on Salvo Giudice, who's coming off 3 straight amateur MMA losses. The most recent, well, all 3 of them came post-June. June, he lost to Luigi Gormore by unanimous decision, lost to Callum Davies by unanimous decision, and then got submitted in the second round against Gene Magny in October of this year. Now he's fighting his professional mixed martial arts debut as an 11-9 amateur in PFL? What's going on? I don't understand. I legitimately just don't understand. Who booked this fight? And why is it ahead of championship fights? Attila Kobas by first round knockout. I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. Next up, we go to the bantamweight division. We have got Mehdi Saadi taking on Mahio Campanella in this one, and we are going to go with Saadi to win the fight. We're going to take him by second round TKO. 2 French fighters going at it in this one. We are going to take the 31-year-old Frenchman in Saadi to win this fight. This is a guy who has fought in UAE Warriors before, fought in Aries FC before. 2 losses, sure, but that was for the Aries FC Bantamweight Championship 2 fights ago. Since then, he has beat a PFL MENA name in Jalal Al-Daja, finished Al-Daja in the third round by TKO. I know Al-Daja went to PFL MENA, lost back-to-back fights to Tariq Ismail and Ali Taleb, but it is what it is. It's a name that the PFL is somewhat familiar with. For Mahio Campanella, a guy who's just so unproven. He has not fought in a notable promotion just yet. Sure, he's 6-1, but the wins are an Octo 1, Dynamite MMA, Boom Boom Challenge, Samurai MMA, that Samurai spelled wrong there, AGM, and AFL. Raise your hand if you've heard of those promotions. Exactly. If you don't live in France, you probably never heard of them, because I've never heard of any of those. Saadi again has fought in notable regionals before. He's fought for the Aries FC Championship, had to win a fight against Leopold Goy in that promotion by rear naked choke in the first round to get that championship fight in Aries. He's fought in UAE Warriors before, again, coming off that win over Al-Daja. He's shown knockout capability in the past, and he's not a bad submission fighter as well, or grappler as well, but I do think the best pathway to victory for Saadi in this fight is going to be with the striking. In the limited sample that we've seen out of Campanella, it has been his grappling that has won him fights, so I'm going to take Saadi to win this fight on the feet. I'm going to take him to box up Mahio Campanella in this one, and we think Saadi wins this fight by second round TKO. Let's go on to our next fight. We go to the heavyweight division. We have got the 7-2 Badir Medkouri taking on the 8-6 Karar Hammodi in this fight. I'm not picking a 8-6 guy to win a fight. What are we doing here? This is, I'm taking Dastan, that's his nickname, Badir Medkouri to win this fight. He hasn't been impressive, I'll be honest with you. He went 1-2 in Aries FC, then went to UAE Warriors, won back-to-back fights, but against a 5-3 fighter and then a 5-7 fighter. Before Karar Hammodi, this guy's 8-6. And he's coming off a win over an 0-1 fighter, then before that beat a 6-14 fighter, and then before that beat a 1-1 fighter. Where do they find these guys? Do they just look on the street and say, hey, oh, you're French? Or they go into, does PFL just go into French gyms and say, hey, oh, you're French, you fight, come fight for the PFL this Saturday? I don't understand where some of these guys come from. There has to be better French prospects than this. Hell, you have all Europe. This is PFL Europe. Go travel the entire continent to find better regional fighters. What are we doing? 8-6 against a guy who, sure, he's 7-2, but went to Aries, didn't really look all that great. And Aries lost to a 1-2 Xavier Lasso, who is pictured with cereal gone in his Tapology picture. What is going on? All right, give me Dastan, Badir, Medkouri to win this fight. Karar Hammodi has been knocked out 3 times in 14 fights, and he has 6 losses, and he's been knocked out by 7-4, 6-4, you know, and 5-0 fighters. Not horrible, but still, like, he's been knocked out too many times for my liking. Dastan's only lost by submission and decision. This fight's not leaving the feet, so give me Badir Medkouri to win the fight by first round knockout against an 8-6 fighter who just looks like a bodybuilder and doesn't look like he actually fights. Okay, let's move on. To the featherweight division, we've got Matthias Duragrin taking on Yassine Chtatou, and I know what you're thinking. Yeah, you see the records. This guy's 2-4-1. Oh my goodness. It's like that last PFL Europe card. I think it was the last PFL Europe card, but they literally had a 0-14 guy fighting. Was that the last PFL Europe card? There's one of them. I'll find it. It's just, I don't know what's going on, and it's just like Yassine Chtatou lost his last fight. He was 2-3-1 going into his last fight. He fought McGrillen, a Scottish regional guy who's, you know, rising the ranks, who the PFL Europe's booked a bunch of times. He's 6-1. He's a Scottish guy. Where is McGrillen on this card? But we're gonna bring back the guy he beat in the first round in 2 minutes, who is 2-4-1. And we're just going to feed him to Matthias Duragrin in this fight. And guys, you know what's going to happen in this fight. Duragrin's going to win it, and he's going to win it in the first round by knockout. But, like, what is the thought process behind some of this? I'm serious. What is the thought process? I'm going to find the PFL Europe card where they literally booked a guy to fight on that card who was 0-20. Okay, 0-8. So, you got to go back to PFL Europe 2 this year, June 8th of this year. Ben Willis, not a bad, you know, up-and-coming guy. Where is Ben Willis on this card? He's 4-0. He hasn't fought since they booked him against the 0-7 guy in June. But Ben Willis, actually, I don't know how good this guy is because he's only fought guys who have never won a fight in professional mixed martial arts. I kid you not. But what does the PFL Europe do for Ben Willis? He was originally booked to fight someone else. I don't know, whatever. But they find a guy off the street, Nikola Ivanic, who is 0-8 to fight him. 0-7 to fight him. And obviously, Willis knocks him out in the first round. But it's like, where do they find these guys? There are better regional guys than this. Hell, where's Ben Willis on this card? Maybe you can fight a guy who has actually won a professional mixed martial arts fight before. It's just, what are we doing? This guy's 2-4-1. Matthias Duragrin by first round knockout. It's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. It's so stupid. To the championship fights. We go to the lightweight division. We have got the reigning champion looking for back-to-back titles, and Jakub Kaszuba taking on Connor Hughes. I'm taking the reigning champion to go back-to-back. We're taking Kaszuba to win the fight. He's just looked very good in PFL Europe. This is a guy who's undefeated in PFL 5-0 last year in 2023. Beat Maxime Radu, beat Dylan Tuck, and then won the championship against John Mitchell by second round TKO. He's come back in 2024. They booked him against Kane Musa, which was a somewhat difficult fight. He won, and then he beats Daniel Scatizzi by unanimous decision as well to get to this championship fight. For Connor Hughes, up-and-coming guy at the PFL, but did get his chance in 2023. Lost to Dylan Tuck, who Jakub Kaszuba beat. Won 2 fights, obviously, this year against Antolaj Bal and then Ignacio Capella by unanimous decision. The Capella went not bad at all. I don't think... Did we pick... I think we probably picked Hughes to win. Yeah, we did. But that's not a bad win at all. I completely understand that. It's just Kaszuba is just still better. I think Jakub Kaszuba should probably be in the United States version or the, just the actual version of PFL Europe. This is a guy who trains out of Gracie Barra over in Jacksonville, Florida. So he's got to make the trip all the way out here to Europe to fight in PFL Europe. I mean, I just think he's better than all these guys that they have, especially in PFL Europe. Again, we saw last year it was, Jakob Neto make the move from PFL Europe to the PFL. And obviously, again, it didn't go well for Neto. He lost back-to-back fights. But I do think it's probably the move that they have to make with Kaszuba after this year. I mean, he's won back-to-back belts. Hell, Dakota Dicheva did it as well, obviously. And look, she's the champion now in PFL Europe. So, I mean, hell, Neto went over there, got stomped, and then, Scatizzi, Dicheva goes to PFL, and she's the champion now. She's arguably the best women's flyweight on the planet. I'm not saying Jakob Kaszuba is going to become the best lightweight on the planet, obviously. But this is a guy who is undefeated. He's going to be 14-0, I think, after a decision victory over Connor Hughes. Kaszuba just does everything right. I think he is the better striker than Connor Hughes. I think he's able to out-technically strike Connor Hughes in this one. I think he'll keep his range. I think he'll just, pitter-patter him to a decision. And obviously the next move for Kaszuba, who's 29 years old, in his prime, should be to go over to the actual PFL season and see what he can do. That's the next move that should be made. Or he can go to, or he could go to Bellator. If they need more contenders for Usman after the Paul Hughes victory, I mean, hell, you could market it as Bellator champion versus PFL champion, Jakob Kaszuba versus Usman Nurmagomedov. 2-time, by the way, PFL champion. But PFL doesn't do anything that easy. They don't do the things that they should do, so they're not going to do that. They'll probably just keep Kaszuba as a showcase fighter next year in the PFL, and he'll fight random guys and just build up that record. And then next year he'll fight in the PFL season in 2026. I don't know. It can be Kaszuba, though, to beat Connor Hughes. He'll win the fight by unanimous decision. Next up, we go on to the 135-pound championship fight. And you think, it's the final championship fight. Maybe we go straight to the main event after this, or the co-main. No, we've got a weird fight in the heavyweight division coming up next, which I will talk about. But first up, we've got Lewis McGrillen-Evans taking on Alexander Luster. I do like Luster to win the fight. I think he'll become the champion. I like Luster on the ground here. McGrillen-Evans, I think, is a little too... I don't know. I don't think he's good enough on the ground to keep up with Luster. It's just that simple. On the feet, yeah, McGrillen-Evans is the better guy. But Luster has literally melted everyone he's fought so far in PFL Europe on the ground. His first fight wins the fight in under 2 minutes by rear naked choke. Second fight against Julian Pierre Lopez wins the fight by rear naked choke in a minute and 15 seconds. It's been too easy for Luster on the ground this year. And I assume it's going to be the same exact way against a primary striker, Lewis McGrillen-Evans. I mean, that's literally just what McGrillen-Evans does, right? I mean, 9 knockout finishes in his career. He's 10-1 coming off back-to-back wins, obviously, this year in PFL Europe over Matthias Zauerhoffs by unanimous decision, and then a knockout finish against Dean Garrett in the third round. That's the fight against Zauerhoffs was his first decision victory in his professional mixed martial arts career. Again, I think Luster's able to get him down. McGrillen-Evans lost in the championship card last year against Wesley Maya, against an 8-5 Wesley Maya, a fight that McGrillen-Evans was a -400 favorite in. Exactly. I think Alexander Luster's able to get him down. I think he's able to dominate down there. Again, Luster has felt like the best guy in this weight class all year long, just the way he's able to get finishes. Again, yes, Lewis McGrillen-Evans has found his way to the belt. But McGrillen-Evans, again, hasn't been as dominant as Luster's been. Luster hasn't even made these fights close that he's had. It's been pure domination out of the German so far this year. Again, 5 submission victories to his name, 4 knockout victories to his name. The only fight that he ever went the distance, he lost back in 2021 by split decision against Max Holzer. I'd expect Alexander Luster to dominate this fight on the ground. I don't think McGrillen-Evans is able to keep up, so I think what we see in the first couple rounds, I think we see Luster dominating. I think we see Luster, again, controlling the fight down there, and in that third round, Luster will eventually find his way to a submission. So I think Alexander Luster becomes the new PFL Europe Bantamweight champion with a third round submission victory over the British Lewis McGrillen-Evans. And now we go on to this fight. Why is this here? Seriously, why is this fight here? It's literally on the poster, too. You got Lazy King and Staropoli. You've got Habirora and his opponent in Safta. And then we get Mikhail Grug taking on Lamine Sene. Why is this fight here? If you don't know who Mikhail Grug is, I think it was all over TikTok, his first fight. And it was absolutely horrible in PFL Europe. He's won 2 fights since, but let's go back to his loss in 10 seconds to Ismail Marhaf. We thought Groguhe was actually going to win the fight. This is a guy at the time who was 3-1, big knockout wins. He had won back-to-back fights in Aries, was coming off a first-round knockout win over Marcos Matos in Aries. So we're thinking, okay, he's going to come into PFL Europe, he's going to look great. He took, I swear, this guy took a dive. There's no other way to put it. He bet against himself. You can look up the fight, Mikhail Groguhe versus Eslem Marhas, but it's 10 seconds, so I'm just going to reenact it myself, okay? Mikhail Groguhe is on, obviously, one side of the arena, or one side of the octagon. They do the glove touch. He literally walks up to him and just goes. They touch gloves, and he just kind of stands there. Literally, he stands there, and I think it's either Dan Hardy and someone on commentary says, "Oh, this is what Groguhe is gonna do to you. He's gonna catch you off guard. It's this lazy type fighting, and this is just how he fights." He just stands there and just, literally, no hands not even up. He's just looking at him. Marhas kicks him in the head, and the fight's over in 10 seconds. Groguhe didn't even try. But now he's fighting again? I mean, is he paid to take a dive here against the 5-7 Lamine Sene? Who is this? Who is this guy? I don't know. This guy, he's 5-7. He lost his last fight. His wins are over an 0-4 guy, 4-4, 7-13. What is going on? He's lost 6 times by knockout. He's lost 7 times the whole. Why? Is Groguhe now just some, like, icon in France? I mean, what? Mikhail Groguhe by first round knockout. I don't understand why this is here. I legitimately don't get it. It's confusing. What is the PFL doing? They can't book Pitbull in a fight. They can't book Pashi Mix in a fight. Where's Baki at? Where's Doumbé? Oh, he's on commentary. Book these guys for fights instead of this crap. God, pisses me off. The co-main event. Patrick Habirora taking on the 5-2 Katlin Safta. Habirora is winning the fight. The Belgium prospect is 4-0. PFL has been pumping him up for a while. He's fought in Aries since his last PFL Europe fight, so this is his 4th fight of the year. He's already booked for another fight in 2025 in France, and Fight and Furious in Octagon is the promotion against the 28-1 Josio Boye. I wonder what's going to happen here. It's just a showcase fight for Habirora. It's that simple. Taking on a 5-2 Swiss fighter here in Katlin Safta, who has won back-to-back fights, but literally he has not fought anybody. He's fought in no notable promotions, so I wonder what's going to happen here. Habirora is going to dominate the fight. Safta's losses are to 7-1 Sebastian DiFranco, the 0-0 Milton Matus, and then he's beat some decent guys, but Habirora is one of the biggest PFL, Europe prospects, and they're not going to let him lose. Just because, I mean, I'm not even saying that like, oh, they're going to rig the fight. No, I'm just saying that, like, they're not going to find guys that Habirora is not going to beat. That's what I mean when, there's no chance he loses this fight, or the PFL would not let him lose. No, it's just because they're not going to let their hype train die, so they will not give him an actual opponent. Because the last time they did that, they had Doumbé fight Baki Chamsudanov, and Doumbé lost. Now, obviously, not the worst thing, because Doumbé's bounced back since, obviously, it's the splinter in the foot thing, but Chamsudanov was a lot tougher than they thought he was going to be. Last time they did this, too, they made the mistake. They let Lazy King fight Jack Grant. And it was like, oh, crap. Jack Grant's actually better than we thought he was. Habirora is going to dominate the fight. He can have it any way he wants, and I say he does it by first round TK on the co-main event. Going to our main event, and it is in the welterweight division. We've got the Lazy King taking on Laureano Staropoli. The Lazy King should win the fight. Okay, we're taking him by first round submission. I know, again, he had trouble with Jack Grant. He had a lot of trouble with Jack Grant. I don't even know if he won the fight, I'll be honest with you. He wasn't really able to keep Jack Grant down, and when he did, he didn't really do much damage. On the feet, Jack Grant was winning. It was a rough performance in March for Lazy King. Obviously, it's a guy who came over from Aries, huge star over there. We thought the UFC was going to get him, and just like Doumbé, the UFC couldn't get Lazy King, so now here he is in the PFL, not even fighting in the regular PFL season, not even fighting for belts, but just fighting, these fights against guys like Staropoli, which is fine, because he'll beat Laureano Staropoli. I mean, Laureano Staropoli, if you don't know him, former UFC name, right? Went over there, was 2-4 in the UFC, wins over Hector Aldana, Thiago Alves, and then lost 4 in a row to Muslim Salikov, Tim Means, Ramondo Lidze, but the last one really shows you where he's at. He lost to Jamie Pickett. Went to Aries, though, won the championship over there, looked great. Goes to PFL Europe, wins his first fight last year in PFL Europe, gets to fight in the actual PFL season this year, has his first fight against playoff fighter Murad Ramazanov, misses weight and loses the fight by first round submission, then is booked to fight Logan Storley, doesn't make it to the bout, and then now here he is to take on Lazy King. Lazy King should dominate. Again, Murad Ramazanov was able to submit Staropoli in the first round, so Lazy King will do the exact same thing. It's as simple as it is. I don't know how good Ramazanov really was, because it's a guy who, he had a no contest against Roberto Soldic and won, and then he comes to the PFL, right? He beats Staropoli, and then he fights Shamil Musayev, loses, gets knocked out, but then just the way the seeding works, he's got to fight Musayev again, and he loses to Musayev by unanimous decision in the playoffs. So he's 1-2 in the PFL, but his only losses are to the undefeated Musayev, who just knocked out Magomed Umlatov. So I don't know how good Ramazanov is, so I really don't know how to treat the Staropoli loss. But I do know that Lazy King's ground game is on the same level, if not better, than Murad Ramazanov's. So that means Lazy King is going to beat Laureano Staropoli. And I don't think it's that competitive. Staropoli's never been the best fighter. He's got decent hands, but Lazy King is just going to take him down. He's not going to deal with that striking game after whatever the hell happened against Jack Grant. Staropoli's 31. He's fought 20 times. He's never been all that impressive. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Again, this fight is set up for Lazy King to win. Their hope, and PFL can just kind of do away with the Jack Grant fight after this, because now the lasting impression on Lazy King will be, all right, he main evented in France, and he submitted a former UFC name in Staropoli, a guy who fought in our season this year and lost, but still, Lazy King can go out here and win fights early and get submissions. Now, I implore the PFL to put Lazy King in the actual season next year. Does he beat a guy like Shamil Musayev? No, because if he can't take him down, he's getting knocked out. But for now, again, Lazy King's 18-1. The only loss is to Gerard Hussein Al-Sawali, of all people, in 2019. But other than that, he's won every single fight he's had. I think he should be able to dominate Laureano Staropoli in this fight. And yes, I would like to see him in the actual PFL season next year, because this PFL Europe stuff, it's cool, but like, let's actually see him in the actual, tournament that the promotion runs on a yearly basis, right? I feel like that would make sense. It would give that tournament a little bit more hype. So give me the Lazy King, Abdouraguimov. I've never been able to say his name, that's why I just call him the Lazy King. Give me the Lazy King to beat Laureano Staropoli by first round submission. And folks, that'll do it for our PFL Europe Championships predictions here on the channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to go check out our UFC Tampa predictions linked in the description down below as well. And we'll be back again for more PFL in 2025. Lord knows when the next card is. If this company is still alive in 3 months, they're burning money like no one's business. But yeah, we'll be back for PFL 2025, assuming it happens. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba forever.